here to talk about pets, pet nutrition, and wellness, anything that can help our fur children live a longer, vibrant, and happier lives.
All right.
Yeah. Welcome to Vital Pet
Vital
Life
Pet Life.
Podcast. Hey everyone, this is Donnie, and you're listening to Vital Pet Life Podcast. So last week, we talked about how Vital Pet Life started, and today we'll be discussing how Dr. Amber discovered her passion for animals and how it led her to become a DVM. So stay tuned. Hi, Dr. Amber.
Hi, Donnie.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. So we're very excited to be drilling you today about your journey and becoming a vet, and maybe you can share like stories, right, of your experiences. And as pet owners, our listeners really wanted to know more about you and how it all started. So how did you discover your passion for animals? What age? I always think that it always goes back to childhood, how we really we wanted. It always, our childhood passion always leads us to what we're going to do later in life. So will you let us know, or will you give us idea, and when did you discover your love for animals, and when you decided that you wanted to be a vet?
Sure. Well, my earliest memories, I've just always loved animals so much. I grew up, we didn't have a ton of animals over the years. We had a couple of dogs, we had a cat, some birds, guinea pigs. And
Oh.
I always loved cuddling them and taking care of them. And I had a tortie cat who was very feisty. And I used to dress her up in doll clothes and carry her around in my wagon and stuff. And she tolerated it. Um, but I always wanted to baby her
Oh,
growing up. And she actually lived to be 18 years old.
wow.
Um, we always had pets in our house. And I actually wasn't one of those little girls that wanted to be a vet, though, from the time
Mm-hmm.
I was little.
Uh-huh.
I always wanted to be a doctor, a human doctor. Growing up, that was just my focus. When I was in college, I was a pre-medical biology major. I went to EMT school, so I got certified as that. But at the same time, I started volunteering with my mom and a friend of mine at a spay and neuter clinic,
Oh.
a low cost spay and neuter clinic. And so that's really what got me into the veterinary field. And mostly it was just because, gosh, I love animals. I think this clinic is doing a great thing trying to spay and neuter
Mm-hmm.
for people who can't afford maybe a full service clinic.
Wow.
And I was actually volunteering in that clinic for 5 years. So it came time my senior year of college where I was going to apply to medical school. And it just hit me, gosh, I love animals and I love medicine. I've always wanted to be a doctor, and I could
Mm-hmm.
be a vet and combine these two loves. And so I ended up taking a year off between undergrad while I was applying to vet school. There was a couple of classes I needed to take to fulfill the requirements to apply. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I did in that year off. And I ended up getting in my first year. So I went to Colorado State, Fort Collins, and graduated in 2007.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so exciting. I love animals ever since like growing up. I always had animals growing up, but I do love them, but I'm really scared of needles and
Oh,
blood.
yeah.
So and I don't really like being confined in a room. So I think that's one of the pitfalls that I didn't really thought about me being a doctor or a vet. But yeah, that's so brave of you. And I love that you were able to really figure out that, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I mean, you're changing life. Oh my God, I could imagine how many animals you have saved and you have helped. That's so amazing.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so. I hope that over the years I made an impact and, not only on the animals, but on the people.
Yeah. Just like what you're doing for our community, like you have given us a lot of tips on how to basically take care of the animals. And I think maybe my next question will be, we met you when you were a vet writer, like a veterinary writer. And then, how did you pivot from being a vet writer to a weekend vaccine warrior and now being a member of the BPL team? I mean, it's just basically you can still be of service, but not necessarily be in like a hospital or a vet clinic 24/7, right?
Right. Yeah. And so, I graduated in 2007. Fast forward 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 5 years into my career, I was very burnt out. Like I had a
Oh,
lot of compassion fatigue. And
mm,
I remember at that point thinking, I can't do this forever. This
yeah.
is so hard on my heart. And I
Mm,
think in general, and for me specifically, my love and my passion for animals made it even harder, if that makes sense. Like you
yeah, I
want to
get
be
it.
able to save everybody, you want to be able to help everybody. Like if I could work as a vet for free and still support my family, I would,
Yeah.
and so, but that made it even harder for me to go into work every day and see the suffering and know that as much as you love animals and as much as you want to help, you just can't help everybody. But also, just the reality of going to 8 years of college. I mean, I graduated vet school with 6 figures of student debt,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing like I have to work so that I can support my family and pay off my student loans.
Oh,
So, in that meantime, there were a couple of job changes that I made, just from one general practice to another that helped. I mean, I always had really great bosses who were very understanding and tried
mm-hmm.
to give their employees a really good work life balance.
That's great.
Um, and so, um, so I stuck it out for 13 years. I finally got to a point where every day was a struggle. I don't want to be bleak, but I think this is just the reality that myself and a lot of people in the veterinary field have faced, just that compassion fatigue. Like it's up and down all day. And
Yeah.
so, like I had to euthanize one of my favorite pets, one of my
Oh,
favorite patients. And then, you go into the next room and it's a new puppy and you have to act like you have to forget that
oh,
this patient that you've been caring for years has now died, and you have
oh,
to try to be really happy for this person who's just gotten a new puppy.
oh gosh. That's like a world that us pet parents doesn't even know. I see all the vets for tuxedo. I literally see them really tired. That's why I feel sometimes like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna send them food. I bet they're really tired. They've been here the whole day. I think it's just not just on the veterinary system, but I think the whole healthcare system, I bet it's really
Yes.
overwhelming. Like,
Yes.
because I have friends too that are in pedia and all those stuff, and they have exactly the same thing. Because, being a doctor, you really have to be the better person. It's such a huge weight for you guys. Like,
Yes.
yeah, because like other than knowing and diagnosing like what's wrong with the animal or perhaps person, it's pretty much you also have to be compassionate. You have to be
Yes.
empathetic towards the owner. And
Right.
oh my God, I could just
Yeah.
imagine.
I mean, I would go home and I would just cry. Like, I
Oh,
can't, I've given so much of myself.
mm-hmm,
I can't give any more. Like I was struggling to connect with my family. Like we went on this camping trip
mm-hmm,
and I just sat at the camp while my kids were off, playing volleyball and
mm-hmm.
swimming, and I was just sitting there like I couldn't even engage. And that weekend I was like, something's got to give, so not long after that I gave my boss my notice, and I thanked him so much for
Yeah.
for just sticking there with me. And he said, honestly, you lasted longer than we thought you would, because
Oh,
he could see how burnt out I was.
oh,
um so, but at the same time, it was going to be a really big financial stress, because here I am, I still have all these student loans, and my
mm-hmm,
husband, now he's the only one providing for us. And so, I ended up writing this. I'm not on social media now, but like writing this desperate post on Facebook to this group of veterinary moms. And
Mhm.
I'm just, I can't do this anymore, but I need to pay off my student loans and I need to support my family. Does anybody have any ideas? Just like I need help.
Yeah.
And one of my former classmates from vet school was on that, and she sent me a private message and she said, I could have written this post 4 years ago. Like I was in the exact same position. This is what I
Mhm.
do now. So she sent me some information about being a medical writer. And I was like, what is a medical writer? I have no
Mhm.
idea.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it. So she actually got me connected with like the National Organization for Medical Writers. She gave me some recommendations that I got my first couple of writing jobs. And so that was a way like I could, because after all those years of school and all those years in practice, I kind of felt, did I just waste that all? Did I
Yeah.
waste all those years, all that money, all that education?
Mhm.
Which really isn't true. I mean, it was
No,
value,
it's never wasted.
but
It's not, yeah, it's never wasted because like
yeah,
the amount of experience that you gain, while you were in practice, you can literally doing it now. Like you're basically translating it to, our social media, like our asking Dr. Amber and here in our podcast. I mean, this is our goal, like to really help educate everyone,
yeah.
there's so much knowledge that you can share.
Yeah. And that was honestly one of my favorite things about practice was making that connection with people and being able to teach them,
Hmm.
because it's one thing to say, okay, your dog comes in with a list of symptoms, these are the tests we need to run, but explaining why, this is why we need to do this is,
Yeah.
or diagnosing a cat with diabetes, like
Hmm.
this is why diabetes happens, this is how
Exactly.
we treat it. Like I think just giving the owners that information, I loved doing that because that put more of knowledge and responsibility in their hands to take, they were able, I feel like they were able to take better care of their pets with more knowledge,
Exactly.
how to do it and why we're doing it this way. So, anyway, so fast forward, I, through the writing, through the videos that we do, the Ask Dr. Amber section, I'm able to do that still.
Hmm.
And then I do, you mentioned weekend vaccine clinics. So I'm still able to have contact with dogs and cats and clients that bring them in. But without like the stress of,
Yeah.
I kind of tell people like nothing sick or dying is coming in, like you get to see lots of healthy puppies, healthy kitties,
Yeah,
older
but
pets, but like it doesn't have that weight of the life is in my hands,
yeah.
if that makes sense.
Also, yeah, of course. And also I feel like the energy that you put out on your weekend vaccine events, like it's different. Like you will be more like the energy that you give out to the pet owners, it's a different kind. You can give them again, you're still educating them, you help them how they can provide, better care for their animals. So I mean, it may be different from being in practice, but still, you're still doing what you love, right?
Yeah,
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 which
absolutely.
is awesome. Yeah.
And
Well,
then I think you guys found me on LinkedIn or something. I was, wow, I don't think that's something I could ever do. I could never record videos and nobody would ever want to watch my videos. And
but look at you now. You're a social media. We call it, Kyle was just saying like social media influencer. But no, you are helping so many people through this small videos that we put out. It just gives us a little information and like, okay, what can I do? Because I mean, you can Google a lot of stuff, but sometimes Google gives you scariest like answers out there.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
honestly, when sometimes I'm, like researching the topic with my videos, I'll Google something just to see what pops up. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, the first link has like really bad information. Like I feel that responsibility to give people good information so that they
mhm.
can make better decisions for their pets.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I have another question. Like, as pet owners look for supplements, right? Like, I mean, the reason why I have this company because I feel like not a lot of people are aware of prevention is really like a key for
Yes.
people that has animals because like it's so expensive to not a lot of people can spend 800 grand, I mean $800 for like x-ray, like, not even a lot of people will bring their dogs to be spayed because they have no idea how much it's going to cost, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, I feel prevention is really the key on basically like helping animals. So, now that there's so many supplements or that are out there, therapeutic care, like how does this change the role of a vet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think in my experience with the clinics where I worked, it really was trying to keep pets healthier rather than doing like reactive sick care. So, like you want it to be even in human medicine. I'd rather it be a healthcare system, not a sick care system.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, every pet is going to get sick. Like that's just inevitable. That's just life.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can give them the best nutrition, we can give
Mm-hmm.
them good supplements, we can give them exercise, we can
Yeah.
give them social interaction, that
Mm-hmm.
mental stimulation. Like they can just live such healthy lives, like
I
longer
know.
and healthier lives if we look at it that way versus, in practice, I saw so many like obese cats that ended up with diabetes. And it's like,
Wow.
if we had just been more careful about their diet and their exercise and keeping them at a healthy weight,
Mm-hmm.
then there's a good possibility we could have prevented this horrible disease. And so that was my focus in practice. Even like we need to get this dog on a better food. We need to get them on these supplements to
Mm-hmm.
help prevent so many things. And then really, I mean, you look at the cost of food, you look at the cost of supplements and think, oh my gosh, that's so much money.
Yeah.
But I would rather put that money into preventative care rather than them ending up with this long term health condition that has to be treated with medications
I
and
know.
ongoing testing. Like that ends up being as much or more probably
More.
than the
Yeah.
preventative care. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just reminded me of like there was a post that I saw in one of the shelters that I follow and we basically help. I was really sad because there was this dog that was basically surrendered because he had diabetes and he needs his shots and
Yeah.
medicine, I think weekly. And I was just so heartbroken. Oh my God, how can get what I mean? Like, and
Yep.
the puppy was, I mean, it's not a puppy, but it's like less than 5 years. And I'm like, how can he have that in such an early stage of his life? Like, I was really like stressed out. I cried. Like, I mean, when you like, you get sad because you empathize with your clients and all those stuff. I get stressed when I see all these like dogs that are being like dumped into shelters or needing to be fostered. Like every day, I'm like, oh my God, I had to stop watching this because that's what I check out. Like I'm like, because I need to know the people that I can support. Like part of Vital Pet, like we do partner with like our local shelters. We basically give out products because like these dogs too that are being rescued have problems. Like most of them have like skin conditions and all those stuff. And our supplements like the fish oil can really help. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes if I have extra, okay, I'll take care of this puppy, like, medical bills or whatever. But my God, like there's just so many dogs and animals that, cats even like that need some homes. And, I'm not talking about just home that, people that really knows or how to take care of them. Like, I
Yes.
mean,
Yep.
again, like education and prevention. And this is what we're actually doing, Vital Pet Life podcast, because we just really want to, educate, like give our community like, ideas on how we can help our animals live longer, and at the same time save, not necessarily save, but basically prevent animals going to vets for what a huge medical condition or something like that.
Yes.
Like
Yep.
our goal is just to have a wellness check, as you said. You wanted an animal to be, what was that you said, like wellness check or wellness
Yeah. Have it be health care instead of sick care.
sick care.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, Dr. Amber, thank you though. Like, I mean, 13 years you were able to help a lot of animals and for parents out there, and now you're still doing it. It may be different. It's a different setting, but still you have the platform to, take care of animals by giving ideas, educating them, or pet parents, like me. I learned so much from our constant conversations, and that's why we started this podcast, to share whatever it is that we discussed. And yeah, I'm excited. There's more to come. But again, like also, Dr. Amber, what are your thoughts about sustainability in pet supplements or pet wellness?
Well, I think that, I mean, it's definitely important. We have to look at the future of our planet and
Mm-hmm.
think, if we don't take care of what we have now, then we're going down the wrong road, I guess. Like, you look at the whole food web, and if one of those, we want to call it a food chain, one of those links is missing, then everything else is going to fall apart. And so I think, fish oil, salmon oil is one of the most important supplements, I feel personally. I mean, I take fish oils myself. I give
Yeah.
them to my kids. My
Yeah.
husband takes them.
Yeah, there's so many
So
benefits.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're so good for your health, but we need to do it in a way that we're not harming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
depleting the
Yeah,
ocean, and yeah.
exactly.
And also, like, catching it in a way wherein, like, the bigger fish can go back, or like, in a very sustainable way. Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's what we're
So
doing. That's great, because like we're really aligned in that thinking, like how a company should run. Like, as I said, I think on the previous episode, like I love when a small company like ours that going towards like the goal of being sustainable and being like conscious of how they can take care of the planet in the future.
yes. Yep.
Yeah. I think, Dr. Amber, this is such a good like conversation about your experience and how, you're able to like help animals, and how you were able to become like a Dr. Amber in the podcast. I mean, there's so much like stuff we wanted to know, and you were able to share it to us. I think you have some awesome announcement before we end.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to announce that Vital Pet Life is giving away salmon oil to our listeners. So send us your questions at podcast@vitalpetlife.com, and we'll be announcing the winners on the next episode. So don't forget to share this with your friends and your family and fellow fur parents.
Thank you, Dr. Amber.
Thank you for having me, Donnie.
Yay! Don't forget to follow our channel for more talks about pets, tips, advice, and fun stuff. Happiness, vibrance, and longevity for our fur babies and our planet. Once again, thank you for tuning in. This is Donnie, your Chief Treat Lady at Vital Pet Life. Until next time.